Welcome to the celebration of the daily TV Mass. I'm Cardinal Collins. Today's TV Mass is sponsored by the Loreto Sisters in Canada and the Parent Council of Loreto Abbey High School in Toronto in celebration of the graduating class of 2020. Graduates, you are being deprived by COVID-19 of the traditional coming together for your graduation Mass with fellow students and with your teachers. This TV Mass allows you, at least in some way, to have the experience and allows us to join you in praying with and for your fellow graduates. But let us expand our scope and join with the graduates of Loreto College School, Mary Ward and St. Mother Teresa in Toronto, St. Paul's in Niagara Falls, Bishop MacDonnell in Guelph. I'm a bit biased, I'm a graduate of BM. All schools which have their roots in Loreto and where they, like you, are encouraged to live as Mary Ward has inspired thousands of young people for over 400 years to live as lovers of truth and doers of justice. Let us reach out even more to include students in the hundreds of schools in the global Loreto CJ network in every corner of the globe on all 5 continents. Congratulations and best wishes, graduates. Take to heart Mary Ward's advice to all of her followers as you make decisions about your future. Listen to God's deep dream for you and feel a longing to respond. And do not bury your talents, which God lends us to be spent in God's service. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. When he began to speak, and he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise be the Lord Jesus Christ.
Today, I think in a special way, it's very appropriate to put ourselves before the example of Mary Ward, a prophetic woman of faith who lived in times of great persecution and who proclaimed the faith in the Lord in a manner which was filled with holiness, wisdom, and great learning, and a great decisiveness. She was able to do that in circumstances which were in no way good, and yet in the very, very heart of it all, we find her wisdom. I know I am deeply grateful for my own training by the Loreto sisters as the disciples and the followers of Mary Ward. And I still to this day remember the advice, the maxims of Mary Ward. Be merry in these times, for mirth is next to grace. I tried to follow that a bit a few years ago when I was ordained a priest by choosing Psalm 100. Serve the Lord with gladness, come before him singing for joy. And do good, do it well, virtue's hard if you hold it so. I think that we see in Mary Ward an example for all of us of a deep holiness, a deep learning, a strong commitment, strong will, and a willingness to give herself completely in the service of others in a way that gets to the heart of things, that is very determined and very practical. Because she says in one of her writings that if you're just learning and studying and you don't live it out, what's the use of it all? You're just useless in what you're doing. So that kind of practicality and that kind of focus is something I think we should think about today. I think that Mary Ward in many ways follows or shows something that led way to another, a very great British Catholic educator, Monsignor Ronald Knox. When he spoke about the whole point of Catholic education, he said that in Catholic school, people are taught to fly to the heart of things. And I think in that he was basically following, although I don't know whether he knew it or not, he was following in the spirit and the guidance of Mary Ward, to fly to the heart of things, to get what is most important. And we look at that today as we look at the readings which speak to us of that same spirit of focus and practicality and decisiveness in the service of the Lord. Not, you might say, getting caught up and lost in the weeds, but getting to what really matters. First of all, we have the prophet Elijah in the first reading. He was a person whose very name said, "The Lord is my God, Yahweh is my God." And he lived that way completely, solidly, with integrity and decision. That, I think, is the kind of thing we have to say, each one of us, day by day. The Lord is my God. Jesus is Lord. I will serve him faithfully. Life is not complicated, or if life is, our faith is not complicated. We need to live with that focus. And if we look to the gospel today, we see the simple guidance which the Lord gives us. It's somewhat hard because of our egos and our own sinfulness, but it's not complicated. It is the Beatitudes. Here we have the path for life. How do we live? Read this, look at it, study it, and then do it. Live it to the full. Do good, do it well. Virtue's only hard if you hold it to be so. And so on this day, we reflect upon these readings, and I think we're called to have that example and follow in the example of all the great and holy disciples of the Lord who show us the way. And particularly, I would say, we should think in Catholic education, but in our whole life. A clarity of focus, a depth of faith, a profound love to serve in the name of the Lord in this world, and to do so in ways that are practical, that bring about a real change by being instruments of God's grace in this world. This, I think, is the spirit of Mary Ward. It is something that has changed the lives of countless people around the world, and it is something for which we should be all should be profoundly grateful.
Mama bora mwenye